Welcome back. I had to take a breather and actually focus on educating people. Those of you who have been following me, sorry for the long break, but I had to go back to school and do some few things here and there. And here we are. And what a timely season for us to embark on a topical discussion about our environment with regard to climate change. Now, the big question that I want to ask you is, are we able to adopt as Africans? Because since 1992, we've been discussing about global warming. But this has really yielded very few, if any, fruits. Now, this question is pertinent so that as Africans, we don't seem so helpless, and so that we can be able to craft a way forward on our own. We understand that it is not our fault that God gave us a continent that is along the equator line, and that all the emissions and all the erosions come from the other part of the continents. The emission come and settle in Africa because of the equator. The other erosions and washed down waste products, whether they be solid or chemical or even liquid, they are washed towards our shores. Most of you may not know Africa is not a highland, or with regard to the global map or geolocation of Africa, is actually lower with regard to the sea level. And that's why from the Atlantic, from the Pacific, and from the Mediterranean, the other side of Europe, it is very easy for them, if they litter in their beaches, all these litter are going to be washed down to the African shores. And so we are suffering so much. But God had a purpose, I want to believe, of putting us here, and probably He had even overseen that we were to go through this. Not so that we can be dependent on Him, so that we can rise again as Africans, because we were the early civilization of this world, and we still have that potential of rising up again, despite our identity being crushed, despite our culture being crushed, despite our practice and our knowledges being stolen. Africa has always risen to the occasion with regard to history. And those of you who have been following me already know that we had already gone through the African history and realized that a lot of civilization, even slavery, was done not because we were people who deserved to be demeaned by other societies because of the color of our skins and so on and so forth. No, it is because of our ability to withstand harsh conditions, be it storm, be it extreme summer. All right. And for the first time, Africans have never lived in a winter-prone area like in the Americas and in Europe, but as slaves, though most of them passed on, most of them survived and adopted. So adopting to climate change, let it not be commercialized like the way they have commercialized to fight our culture. They have commercialized efforts to kill our identity. They have commercialized efforts, programs, and projects that are brought as community action to kill our knowledge and our resilience. We can never change. They have refused even to adopt our sports now that we are about to begin World Cup on 20th this month. And they continue changing the rules. Every time we appear to be getting close to the finals, the FIFA rules are changed, but that's another story for another day. But every sport they have put in the Olympics and in the global arena with regard to sports, we have managed to maintain a consistent victory. Now, this is not a battle of races. It's not black on white. But it is just that I'm African and I'm black, and I'm talking about a system that was created by white. It's so unfortunate. It's not my making. But as a community leader, I'm telling you, this is not salvation for Africa. This Cop27, even the changing of rules by FIFA and other global bodies that we think are to accommodate Africans. Remember, when you're poor, you probably have 1% that makes you poor, of whatever, whether money or ideas or whatever. If the majority are the ones who sit at the table to make rules and to organize the events, believe you me, they are not bringing all these changes to make you better. I'm here to see a human being who would want to be at the worst situation while holding position and power and raising those who do not even seemingly deserve to be on the power, rise to a level of qualifying for that position and power. I'm yet to see even the best of the best Christians. I'm yet to see even the best of the best Muslims. I'm yet to see even the best of the best Hindus. I'm yet to see. They could be there. Please hit me up on my socials. Bring them up. Let's have this conversation. I'll be glad to be corrected, but I'm also glad to put you on toes and make you think critically. Yes, we can adopt, now that we've been lied to since 1992 on the mitigation, funding, and programs. It became a failed project. And by the time Glasgow and Cop26 were done, we had already moved to mitigation, which again, for any developing organization and country to access the fund of adaptation and also mitigation, we have been told that your project, your innovation, your creativity must be bankable. And let me tell you what is a bankable project that can qualify you to get the green fund. It is one like making the solar panels. I'm here to see how an African with his natural or her natural resources can come up with a solar panel. And so this money goes to the developed countries. They're the ones who can afford the technology. They're the ones who can have a capital to do a pilot so that they can access fund. It's a bankable project. Things like electric cars, they are bankable projects. Who can afford them other than anybody who uh, is who in the higher cadre of those who qualify to access the best fruits of the modern tree, like Elon Musk, I dare say. He can access this money because he is the son of a former miner owner in South Africa. So he's a beneficiary of industrialization. And here we are talking about going back to basics and bringing down our temperatures, the world temperatures, to the levels of pre-industrial. But the people who sit on the table are the people who have benefited from the processes of the industrial revolution and development, either through education, either through acquiring resources, or even being close to power. Is this really a fair threshold? The only back to basics I'll urge you Africans is to go back to what your great grandparents did. What used to be our practices. This is what can bring down the temperatures in Africa. Remember, Africa has always been lying along this equator. But Africa was the only green continent, leave alone Greenland. Africa was full of forest. The Saharan desert was not a desert by the time the first European was coming to Africa. Egypt, being a desert country that depends, had to do treaties so that they can deny us our Lake Namlole, which the Europeans called Lake Victoria, so that they can deny us the use of our natural resources in East Africa to protect their interest of the Nile River. But before even those treaties, Egypt was feeding the Middle East and Europe. It was a food basket for that hemisphere. So I would just say, let us relook at our history. I know a lot has been lost, but let us try to redeem whatever we can redeem. Our wisdom, let us think about our languages. Unfortunately, I was not taught my mother tongue, but I'm trying to understand it, among other African languages, and the wisdom behind it, because our languages are descriptive. They are also mind constructs. And so if we study them, we'll be able to know what was hidden in them, was preserved in them by our sages. Now, over the last few years, 15,000 Europeans have died from the heat waves. But we are told this is the African problem, and we are not going to be helped. And another bankable project in Kenya is the geothermal in Naivasha, Olkaria. Since there is no way, and we've been already cut off, we are not part of the shortlisted people. I want us to answer, is it possible for us to adopt? And I've already given you hints. In this conference, you'll hear a lot of jargons like the climate emergencies. You'll hear about the climate credibilities, the greenhouse gases, a lot of jargons. But at the end of the day, You will hear those who have made it, the billionaires of this world, giving grants, but it is just another drop in the ocean, just like it was in COVID-19. All the grants and help that we were given by the who is who, the top 100 rich men and women in the world, was just 0.001 of what they make. This is the kind of a society, a global society, a global village that we are forced to make, but you can make a change. Change begins with you. But also, let us come together as like-minded people and effect a positive change. I'll see you after this short break. Thank you.